In this video, I'm sharing with you the exact structure that I've used to help me get out of my overdraft and being in debt and relying on my credit card to someone that now has savings that have a purpose for different areas of my life. And just a little disclaimer, this isn't me giving financial advice. I'm just sharing the tools and structures that have helped me in my life. By the way, my name's Dipesh, and if you're new here, I create content around philosophical and spiritual teachings to make them more actionable and practical in the modern world. And other than subscribing, which I'd absolutely love, I have one favor to ask. As I'm taking you through this video, drop down in the comments below your questions, your takeaways, or anything else that you want to say, because your engagement means everything to me. So let's get straight into it. When it came to me coming out of my overdraft and being someone who has savings, it first came down to learning 3 key factors. So the first of these 3 key factors was awareness. And this is the awareness of where my money was going. And I'd say it's pretty safe to say that I had zero awareness of where my money was going to. There was a lot of times that I actually realized I was buying things just to feel a sense of worth, even though I didn't really need the item. And a quote that I've come to live by is Jay-Z's famous saying that if you can't afford it twice, you can't afford it. So having that awareness of where my money was going and actually starting to document how it was being utilized really helped shed a light on where money was being wasted. The second key factor was learning and recognizing that money needs respect and a purpose of use. I subscribe to the philosophy that everything in life is energy in some way or form, and money is no exception to this rule. So if money is just energy, that energy can be cultivated and harnessed to be built into a more abundant source. And that starts by simply recognizing that money is just a tool that allows me to do other things in my life. So it's crucial for me to take on the belief that money has different purposes and utilities, and that's what allows it to be used appropriately. And the third key factor was recognizing that I was operating from the idea of fear of lack of money, and I needed to shift that into the mindset of always having plenty. When you're operating from fear, and this doesn't just apply to money, it applies to everything in life, we end up creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. So if we fear lack of something, we end up experiencing in our reality a lack of that thing we feared in the first place. And this is why I kept experiencing a lack of money on my side. And at the end of this video, I'm going to be sharing with you a little practice that I've used that's really helped shift me from being in that fear-based mindset and going into that mindset of being in plenty. So let's get into the method and structure of saving. So the situation for most people in life is that they're going to have 2 accounts. They're going to have their current account, or if you're in the States, this will be your checking account. I believe that's what it's called. And you're going to have your savings account. Now, when I had this exact structure, this had a big fat 0 in it, and this was actually at minus £1,500 consistently. That was what I had in my overdraft, and I never was able to break past that, no matter what I did on a monthly basis. So instead, this is the system that I have followed that has allowed me to save not just an abundance of money, but actually people that I've recommended this to have gone on to buy a house, gone on to buy cars, and it's purely because they've created the right structure to hold that money for a specific purpose. So to make this video super practical, I'm gonna just assume that someone is taking home £4,000 per month, or $4,000, depending on where you are, doesn't really matter. But just for the ease of calculation, we're gonna use 4,000 as someone's take-home pay. And remember, throughout this video, the amounts that I'm talking about and even the percentages that I'm about to present to you are not the important thing to focus on. It's about becoming the person that understands where their money is going and how it's being utilized and what it's being saved for. So this structure requires you to have 6 different jars. And each jar has a specific purpose. Now, most of us are probably not using cash anymore, so instead of having physical jars to put cash into, you can assume each jar to represent a different savings account. And for most banks, you can open up multiple savings accounts, and this is actually what I've done, which is what's allowed me to transfer money into each one of these jars so that I'm very well aware of where my money is going and what it's going to be used for. Okay, so jar number 1 is for what I call your essentials. Your essentials are everything from your living expenses, your bills, your mortgage, your rent. Think about your phone bills, your internet bills, your transportation for work. Think about your weekly groceries, everything that is essential for you to basically be able to live. Typically, I'd say for your essentials, you'd want about 60% of your take home to be accounted towards your essentials, which in this example would work out to about £2,400 for the month. The second jar is for your long-term savings. So this is your long-term savings. Think about what it is you're looking to save for in the future, those big purchases in your life. So whether you're looking to buy a house and you need a deposit, whether you want to buy a new car, or maybe you're just wanting to take a really nice big holiday with yourself and the family, whatever it is that you're trying to save for that's long term, this is where that money would go. Typically for your long-term savings, I would allocate around 15% of your monthly income to this. And in this example, that would make it around £600 per month that goes into your long-term savings. Now, the third jar is for your education. This one is super important. And what I mean by education is putting this money to use for anything that will help you grow in your skill set. So this can be put towards things like professional courses. Think about books that you might want to buy. Think about subscriptions. Or anything else that can help you grow as a person. Now, it doesn't have to be a huge amount that goes here. And typically I'd say that starting off with 5% per month would be great, because in this instance, it would be around £200 of your take home per month that would be allocated to your growth. And the goal of this is really to allocate this money in a way where the more you educate yourself and level up your skills, what you're going to do is essentially improve your ability to increase this figure here. So if you're on, in this example, we're using £4,000 or dollars a month, but let's just say you're on £2,000 or dollars a month at the moment. Well, then what can you do education-wise that you can level up your skill set in that will then allow you to earn more in the future? Now, the fourth jar is for what I call your golden goose, which is for investing. The purpose of your money going into this specific account is to think about this as the goose that lays the golden eggs for you. The goal is to only add money in and to never take out the invested sum. The goal is to keep this goose fed and alive so it keeps consistently delivering you golden eggs, which in this case is to get interest. Now, I personally like to keep my investing strategy super simple into things that I understand. So my money is typically split between stocks and shares, ISAs, and your cash ISA savings accounts in the UK. In the States, you've got to do whatever is equivalent to that. I believe it's called your Roth IRA, but it's anywhere that you can invest your money and get a return. Of course, there's a bunch of other areas that you could invest in, including things like property and real estate, but do your own research, find out which area of investing is the most resonant for you, which one do you actually understand, because I wouldn't recommend ever putting money into something you don't fully understand, and choose the areas that make it feel easy for you to do this. I actually did an amazing podcast with a guy called Tim Paul, who I'll link in the description below. And in his podcast, we talked a lot about investing and how to keep things simple. And on top of that, there's tons and tons of videos on YouTube where you can learn about investing and how to do it. Also, according to the richest man in Babylon, this is the secret to being rich. And that is to set aside at least 10% of your income every month that goes into investing. So in this case, that would be £400 per month put to work, and its only purpose then is to create more income as interest without you having to do anything else. So your money is essentially working for you. If you haven't read the book yet, I'll link it below in the description. I believe it's critical for people's financial education, and it is such a short read. So if you haven't read it already, definitely give it a go. It's incredible at how basic the principles are, but how it can help you generate a lot of wealth and savings quite quickly. Now, the fifth jar is all about giving back. So I love this principle myself personally, because just karmically, I believe that the more we give back, the more we get. And more specifically, the more we give without expectation of return, we end up receiving more through ways in which we maybe didn't even recognize were a possibility. I've done this so many times where I've given money to the homeless, or I've bought food for them, and that's my way of giving back. And the portion of money that I put aside goes towards specifically helping those people in need. And I do this without the expectation of having that money come back to me in any way or form. And what is incredible is that every time I've done this, very soon after, I make a little bit more money, or the business does slightly better, and I'm finding myself getting opportunities to earn more, purely because, and my belief is that karmically, the more you give, the more you will naturally get as a return. And you can find these laws in most religious scriptures as well. Christianity calls it tithing, in Hinduism you call it dana, and in the Quran, I believe it's called zakat, where you give freely without expectation, and it counts towards your karmic debts in the positive side. Now again, you can choose the amount that works best for you on all of these, not just this one, but typically I say that around 5% is a great amount, if possible, to give back. And in this example, that would work out to £200 per month that goes towards giving back to people in need. That's a terrible way of writing it, so I'm just going to do that again. So £200 per month. And last but not least, jar number 6. This is such an important jar, and I really hope you take this on. This is for your own fun. The point of this jar is to remember and recognize that you're working hard, you're saving, you're investing, you're giving back, and you're also living life at the same time. So you want to enjoy the process as much as possible, because the more you enjoy the process, the more likely you are to stick to it. So this can be allocated to having meals out. It can be something that I love doing is having like fancy drinks at expensive hotels. You can put it towards, I'm just giving you my examples, but playing rounds of golf or anything else that really floats your boat. Remember, this is your definition of fun. So whatever it is that you find fun, make sure a portion of your income is going towards this so that you're enjoying your own life in the process of you creating wealth and savings for yourself. And a lot of people I've found, and I went through this, typically struggle with this quite a lot, because the day-to-day stresses of life can make you feel like you don't have the ability to have fun. And that's why having this structure set up like this is so important, because you're actually putting into your awareness and into your consciousness that fun is something that not only you deserve, but something that you actually have a budget towards. And this is why this structure is so important, because you're making fun an integrated part of your life. And with everything that we've done so far, so we've got 60, 15, 75, 80%, 90%, 95%, so we've got 5% remaining, and that gets allocated for fun, which is around another £200 per month, which is basically allocated for you having a good time. Now, remember that these numbers need to work for you. So find out the numbers and the percentages that work best in your circumstances and in your life, because it's not about these numbers being set in stone. They're meant to be shifting according to how it works for you. So let's assume that actually in reality, 95% of your income is dedicated to your essentials. Well, if that's the case, you're only going to have 1% for each other area of your life. That's fine. The point of this is not the numbers right now. The point of this is about becoming the person that is structurally managing their money well and is aware of where their money is being used and how it's being gathered for specific purposes moving forward. Really, it's about becoming the person that has long-term savings, has money set aside towards their education to level up their skills, has money put aside for investing that's putting money out there to work for you and make a return for you, has money set aside to give back and serve others in need, and has money set aside to have fun and enjoy the process of life. So that's the system. And the bonus bit that I wanted to share with you that's really helped me make the most out of this entire structure is based on a Japanese philosophy called arigato money. And the point of this philosophy is to show thanks and be grateful for all the money that's not just coming into your life, but actually showing gratitude and being thankful for all the money that's also going out of your life. And the way I practice this is internally. Every time I'm paying a bill or buying groceries at the supermarket or paying for something, even if it's unexpected, I take a moment and just internally say to myself, thank you so much for even having the money to be able to pay for these bills. Effectively, I'm paying with joy, because if you think about it, if you get a bill and it's a bit unexpected and you go, oh, I don't want to pay this bill, and you pay it begrudgingly, you're almost reaffirming to yourself and believing that money is being taken away from you and that you never have enough money. And this is why this is so critical, because you want to solidify in your mind that you always have plenty. So actually every bill then should be paid with joy and with gratitude, because you're always going to get money in return to keep then being able to pay whatever bills come your way, because bills are inevitable. I've been using this structure for the last few years and it is phenomenal how I've never had to, thankfully, go back into my overdraft. I've not been reliant on my credit card, and it's been pivotal in me learning and understanding how my money is being utilized, and having specific allocations for it, even in my own mind, makes it that much easier for me to understand where my money is going and what I'm able to do. Now, remember that repetition is mastery. So go back over this video or certain parts of it as many times as you need to make sure that you fully understand how the system works, and then start implementing it. Knowledge without action is pretty much useless. When you put it into action and you start seeing the results of it, that's when you're going to start seeing a change in your life. Let me know any questions that you have or comments in the section below. I'll reply to every single one of you and do everything I can to help you out. And of course, make sure you're subscribed, because if you love this video, you'll love this one over here and you don't want to miss out on any others. Until the next one, stay visionary.